Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, the video game, from the hit film Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, originally released alongside the movie for Windows and the Game Boy Advance in November of 2001, and then put out for the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube in the following year, is a generational and cultural shifting masterpiece. I'm sure we all remember, or at least have seen, a clip of our good pal Jimbo messing around with his friends or cooking up something in his lab.
Now give me my ice cream, monkey boy!
Considering how memed the movies and show have been over the years. But for the games released for the franchise, especially the original movie tie-in, they haven't aged the most gracefully. But that's not to say it can't be enjoyed. When the game came out, I wasn't even a thought conceived by my parents yet, and by the time I got my grubby little hands on it on our family laptop in the living room with Windows 7 paired right next to our iMac G3, the game is already over a decade old. But I played the heck out of it, not only because it was one of the only PC games I had to play, but I also genuinely adored it. And looking back on it now in the year 2025, I feel very nostalgic towards it. I remember the jetpack, I remember teleporting to every area of the game with the telephone booths, and I even remember some of the missions. Schoolyard race, my beloved. But once I pulled the disc back out of the forgotten places of the shelf, dusted it off, and placed it into my external disk drive, I didn't know it yet, but I just started a fight with Windows 11 that I could barely finish. You see, the hardest part about this whole experience was actually trying to get the game running. Let me walk you through the process. I'll probably put some Minecraft gameplay or Subway Surfers here if I think it's too boring. But I spent probably 3 to 4 hours in total trying to get this thing to work, which is what you're seeing here, but of course it's blurred, I ain't showing you all my files. Obviously, I have the OG CD-ROM, which I put in my external disk drive and it works. It shows that it reads the disk and it opens up the installer, so I click to install the game and old-ass DirectX 8, which I don't know even does anything, but might as well. And once that finishes, it closes and nothing for a little while. So I'm like, well screw this, let's get this game working through other various very legal methods. So I tried downloading the ISO along with various ISO software and converters and try to follow along with the tutorials, but none of them are really working properly. But out of nowhere, the proper Jimmy Neutron from back when I downloaded it from the disc finally shows up, and I actually get to download the game files now. And now that we have the game, let's try booting it up. So obviously it locks my screen in a 480p 4x3 square block that doesn't show anything. And at this point, I'm like, alright, screw this again. I'm gonna take the easy way out. So I very legally download the PS2 ISO and a PS2 emulator, and spend a whole nother hour following tutorials and shit to work. And eventually, we got the game working. But it's only then I realized from researching that the PC and console versions are completely different games. So I crack open the disk drive again, reinstall the game, Google some shit to see what's going on, and after all that, all I needed was some random ass compatibility fix on some random .dll from a random site, and after putting that in my game files, would you look at that, we got the game working, which is actually pretty cool seeing a game made for Windows 98 running on Windows 11. But I guess, moral of the story, thank you Reddit and speedrunners with technical education, I love you. Now I promise we'll actually eventually get to the game, but first, let's take a little trip down memory lane and give a little recap on the movie first. While trying to reach out to possible alien species out in the universe, our buddy Jimmy gets the wrong attention from a bunch of evil maniacal eggs. The foreshadowing is crazy. The aliens then decide that Jimmy's parents look quite delicious and decide to abduct every single parent on Earth to eat? Reasonable crash out, honestly. Once the kids realize that every parent on Earth is nowhere to be seen, they do whatever they want, until eventually they realize that adult life kind of sucks.
I want my mommy!
So Jimmy, being the inquisitive fella that he is, assumes the whole situation is kind of fishy, and finds out that the Earth has been visited
by aliens!
So he gathers all the kids together and they build their own fleet of interstellar warships to get their parents back. And honestly, this scene is fucking sick. Once they get to the alien planet, they find their parents under some type of mind control and of course get caught.
Hey, Nick. Oh, man.
And here they find out that the egg aliens wanted all the parents as human sacrifices for their god. And now trapped in the dungeon, Jimmy's on his sad boy hours. Because he's kind of the one to blame for getting everyone's parents abducted or whatever. But after realizing that everyone needs him, he calls out for his dog Goddard and gets him to break them out. We finally then get to see the all-powerful god, which is just a really big egg. And they bring out all the parents to do the chicken dance. And as the kids catch up, the egg starts to hatch. So Jimmy has a quick little brain blast and gets everyone to distract the guards while he grabs the controller for the parents' mind control and gets them out of there.
You want some? You want some? You want a piece of me?
I didn't think so.
And right on time, Sheen comes to save the day and kills the king. After getting all the parents and everyone onto the ship, they finally get the hell out of there. But before long, they start getting chased by a whole armada of warships. So Jimmy makes quick work of them, but now he's got the king hot on his tail. So he uses Ant-Man powers and brutally murders the king again. Gee willikers. What an adventure, huh? Now safely back home, they- Oh my god, holy fuck. This movie is an actual classic, and I remember most of it pretty vividly, and it was really fun revisiting it. Every character is easily memorable in their own characteristics. Jimmy is that guy, Carl the goofy absolute hunk of a man,
I didn't think we liked girls yet, Jim.
Sheen the nerdy ultra-lord fanboy,
No, this is the stupidest thing you've ever heard.
Nick the quote-unquote cool guy, and my favorite, the absolute beast, Neutron.
But if all your friends were named Cliff, would you jump off them? I don't think you would.
Clearly, the animation is quite outdated by today's standards, but I'd say it's aged quite gracefully. And in terms of writing and just absolute sheer comedic brilliance, it's an experience. It's very clear that it's directed towards the more younger age children, but its themes and messages are very well outlined and sets a good example for children. To trust and rely on your parents and not to talk to strangers.
Right, Hugh?
Except for policemen. They're there to help you.
I mean, we need more actual kids movies nowadays that do more than just entertain. And I'm just glad that we all agree that an iPad villain for Toy Story 5 is a good idea. Also, I found this YouTube video while researching, and the fuck type of dreams are you having, bro? Alright, now we're gonna get to the game.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
The game starts out in a cutscene with the egg aliens, and even though the story is very similar to the actual movie, or at least uses the same characters, it still barely makes any sense. But it's a movie tie-in game from the early 2000s, nothing's gonna make sense. We then transition to Jimmy Neutron and my boy Carl in a really high quality Steven Spielberg-esque cutscene. Get used to it, it doesn't get any better. But once we're finally out and about, I felt quite overwhelmed by many things. Firstly, nostalgia. Being able to relive the mechanics and interactions of this game from my childhood in crisp 1440p 170Hz is just astonishing. And I know that there is some way to run it in widescreen, but I couldn't figure it out. But also secondly, the uncomfortability that came from the game's controls. Alright, get this. To walk forward or backward, it's up and down on the arrow keys, and then left or right to look side to side. There's no move left and right or look up and down or anything. And then it's shift and control for left and right click, and spacebar to jump, which I'm glad that's the one they kept. And the reason I decided to play on my keyboard rather than use my mouse is just because it sucked even more. Up and down and side to side for the mouse was the same as the arrow keys, but the sensitivity was so ass, I just kept to the keyboard. But once I finally stopped running around and gawking at everything like a headless chicken on Christmas Day, I eventually made it to our first mission. Now the way this game plays is quite interesting. It's sort of a semi-open world, which means we have a bunch of different open worldish areas that we can go to whenever we please, like the neighborhood, school, and downtown. And for 2001, no matter how primitive this game actually is, an open world Jimmy Neutron game is sick as fuck, you can't lie. But back in the game, we have to collect this red neutron while using our shrink ray on these vicious dogs so we don't get caught. And no, the cutscenes never get old. This whole video isn't only going to be just me talking about a game and saying how nostalgic every tidbit of it is, but man, these little doggies jumping around used to be so funny for me as a child. We then get a call from Benny, who, in the movie, does this. He tells us that Nick wants to race us at the school, and if we beat him, he'll give us back our Area 51 map. So we then get our first utility invention type thing, being our scooter mode for Goddard. And there's a bunch of these that you unlock throughout the game, like invisibility, the grappling gun, baseball, the rocket ship. And they're all pretty cool and really fun to use in the specific missions where you need them. But I won't really talk about them a heap, but they hella cool. Once we made it to the school, we were blessed with one of the greatest cinematic moments in history. But even with an intro like that, the race itself was rather uneventful. And after an easy win and Nick not giving us the Area 51 map as promised, he begs for a rematch on the dirt track outside, which I accept, knowing that I'll be the one taking home the trophy. And yeah, no sweat. So finally, with the Area 51 map, we use the telephone booth to just teleport right in, which you'd think would be a huge security risk, but it's the US government. Now that we're here, we have to grab the invisibility tech that I was just talking about, just sitting in an abandoned mineshaft, which is certainly a great place to keep something like that safe. But on our way out, the aliens zap us up into their spaceship, and here's when we get to put our invisibility into action, and it's a pretty handy thing to have. The instant de-aggro is so funny, especially when the nose is pushed up right against you. Our only objective is to sneak past to reach an escape pod and get back home to Earth. And this game's easy as shit, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of unique gameplay, with some missions giving you another handy dandy thingamabob to play around with, but let's face it, this game was made for 6-year-olds 25 years ago. It's not going to be no Spider-Man or Red Dead Redemption 2, but I love how video gamey it all feels. But once we made it through and escaped back to Earth, our mission objective goes from escape the alien spaceship to go home and help our mum find the toolbox. Anyways, Judy Neutron tells us to head downtown to find the one and only Hugh Neutron. And of course we find him snacking at the ice cream shop. And I'm sure I don't need to say this again, but every mission in this game is just whatever. All we've done so far is shrink some puppy dogs, raced a guy in a scooter, escaped an alien spaceship, and now we're doing a fetch quest for a toolbox key. Yes, that's all I'm here for. And now I've got to go all the way back home just to give the key back to our mother, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't having fun. I also found a remote control for Goddard to do whatever this is. Yeah, this game keeps getting better and better. And outside the house, we save Libby from a girl-eating plant. It's 2001, guys. Do better. Libby tells us to get Cindy some purple flurp so that she'll give us a part for our science fair project. Which is another thing that's happening, by the way. Don't worry about it, it's not important. Now we have to head all the way back downtown just to chat to Cindy, who gives us our grappling hook, which has me feeling like that one Spider-Man movie game from 2002, which I might need to revisit sometime. But Cindy also tells us that Carl was looking for us back at the school, and after catching up with him while he was looking for his inhaler, he tells us to go find Sheen. So we go find Sheen, who then gets us to fetch something from the sewers.
Is it dangerous?
Yep.
He can fucking talk! And after finding him at the school, he tells us he'll give us another part for our science fair project if we get Ultra Lord's autograph for him from Retroland, since his parents won't let him go. And just another, admittedly simple but cool part of the game is the skybox that changes throughout your playthrough to show the sun setting down, which I like a lot. You can even go on all the rides at Retroland, which is pretty cool. And after getting the autograph we needed, we race back to school and Sheen ain't there. So we go home and he ain't there either, but thankfully we find him downtown. and exchanging his autograph for our parts, he says that he found Carl's inhaler, so we gotta give it back to him, because from one asthmatic to another, that's just no bueno, my friend. So getting back to our best friend in the whole wide world, disaster strikes. The Earth has been
Visited by aliens!
Anyways, we gotta act quick. And after asking with our please and thank yous to borrow Ultra Lord's ship, we need to find some plutonium to charge the damn thing. I wonder if the only way we can access the nuclear power plant is from an elementary school teacher. So we go find Cindy to grab the keys to Miss Val's classroom.
My therapist warned me about you, Jimmy. There are no such things as aliens. Oh no! There's the key, Jimmy! Hurry, Jimmy Neutron! You're our only hope! Women.
I'm just speechless. So after grabbing the pass to get into the power plant and then shutting it down just in time before it explodes, we head over to Area 51 and race to the alien spaceship to save our friends. After quite a long portion of flying our spaceship and sneaking through, we find where they're taking Carl and chase their spaceship down. God damn, this game's starting to feel like a giant goose chase. Or an egg hunt. And now since I finally calibrated the tractor beam correctly and beamed me on board, we go through another easy ass sneak section and ask very nicely for them to let my friends go.
Release my people!
Sure. Right away.
Hey, we saved the day.
Guards, take him away.
Oh gosh darn it, they tricked me. But thankfully I still have my trusty shrink ray on me. Remember the very first mission where I shrunk all those dogs? Whoa, what a surprising, talented, masterful callback. So they let everyone go and we save the day. For real this time. And yeah, that's the game. As a personal throwback of mine, I'm sure this game definitely doesn't mean much to anyone else, and it is easy to pass it off as another shitty old ass game just made to tick off a box when publishing a new movie. And all that is true, but it also reminds me of a bygone era, one where I wouldn't need to buy a shiny new game every other week and just played what I had offline all of the time. Playing on an old Xbox 360, we didn't even have Xbox Live at all. I didn't even play my first proper online multiplayer game until I was much older. And even then, it was just Roblox on the laptop or whatever trash free-to-play garbage I found on Steam. And for a 25-year-old game that a very small amount of people remember or even have heard of, it's one that I'll look back on quite fondly, even still while getting a new sense of it in 2025. And there was a bunch of stuff I haven't even mentioned. The amount of collectibles in this game is insane, and not even the ones needed for the main story missions. There's a heap you can collect and then use to interact with side quest-ish stuff around the map, like the model rockets for example, and while they don't do much and ain't even a big deal, they're still cool to see included. And even with the story being all over the place, the movement and overall game was pretty solid. Especially being made with Windows 98 in mind, with freaking Game Boy and PS2 ports. But other than that, I don't know what else to say. Like and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see a video on Spider-Man the video game from hit film, Spider-Man the movie. I might just do it anyways.